Have you ever been in a conversation where your brain shuts off? You stop talking. Emotionally, you shut down and would really just like for that conversation to end. In today's video, we're going to cover why sometimes people shut down in conversations and what you can do to fix it. Emotional shutdown is a stress response where the person feels emotionally overwhelmed and begins to disengage from whatever conversation they're having. This happens when the nervous system perceives conflict at a level of threat that causes it to become overwhelmed. Instead of being able to engage in communication, the brain begins to shift into a protection mode, or a safe mode, we may call it. When this happens, the person completely disengages from that conversation. Some people respond to emotional pressure by over-apologizing. The moment tension shows up in a conversation, they begin to disconnect and they begin to over-apologize, saying things like, "I'm sorry, my bad, it'll never happen again, I'll fix it, don't worry about it." The real problem is that this person has really not done anything wrong and there's no reason for them to be apologizing. The problem is that they begin to feel responsible for the situation and they begin to try to calm everything down so that there's no conflict or no strife. The nervous system is trying to calm the situation down as quickly as possible because this is something that they've learned over a period of time. But why does this happen? Somewhere along the line, that person's nervous system learned that conflict stopped feeling safe and it became threatening. So every time there was conflict in an interaction with another person, they began to use this over apologetic mechanism or behavior to help soothe the situation. This pattern of behavior is most likely learned when you were much younger. It could have happened when you were a kid, with your brothers, or with your parents. And what happened is, over time, the nervous system learned that if I can calm the situation down quickly, maybe I can avoid some sort of emotional pain, rejection, punishment, or maybe even conflict with someone that I love or look up to. And eventually, this behavior became an automatic survival technique that your nervous system uses every time it feels that threat. The next real world example is compulsive people pleasing. They immediately shift into this mode of wanting to make people happy. They may feel hurt, frustrated, emotionally exhausted during the conversation, but no matter how the conversation goes, they cannot or will not express how they actually feel, and they immediately shift the conversation onto making that other person happy. They start agreeing with what the other person is saying. They start offering to help the other person even when they know it's going to hurt them. They begin to offer time that they know they don't have, and they know that it's going to be a struggle for them. They offer to calm the other person down when they don't need to be doing these types of things, and they ignore their own emotions just so they can keep peace and not have any kind of conflict that will cause them to feel this threatening. Again, people keep making these people-pleasing behaviors because it's emotionally safer for them to please that person than it is for them to feel the emotional burden that gets put onto them. And this stops becoming a conscious decision and is just something that the autonomic nervous system does automatically. Over time, this behavior becomes what we call the new safe mode for their automatic nervous system. Next, and the most important part, is how to change this automatic safe mode behavior. The first step is to be able to recognize that the nervous system is going into this safe mode earlier. A lot of people don't notice that they're shutting down. A lot of people don't know it until it's too late. They've already fell into this pattern of behavior. They've already fell into apologizing or people pleasing, and they stop paying attention to the warning signs until what happens is their chest tightens, they emotionally go blank, numbness, over apologizing, and the urge to escape the conversation. By that time, it's too late. So early recognition is step one. Step two is learning how to slow down the nervous system before you ever get into this conversation. There's going to be times where you're going to know I'm going into a conversation and there's going to be a high risk of my nervous system reacting in safe mode. So at this time, close your eyes, take a deep breath, soothe your nervous system, and let it know, hey, everything is fine. Use deep breathing, use grounding techniques, take a short break, do whatever you need to do to try to calm down your nervous system so that it feels like everything is safe when moving into the conversation. And the final step is to practice expressing small amounts of discomfort rather than trying to avoid the conflict entirely. What do I mean by that? As you avoid the conflict, or as you avoid the situations that cause you to be over pleasing or over apologetic, then when it strengthens the nervous system and it lets it know, as long as I continue to do this behavior, I'm going to avoid the emotional pain. So if you can take it in smaller amounts, begin to stress the nervous system in a way that causes it to feel those emotions more and more, then over a period of time, your threshold begins to get higher and higher and higher for the amount of conflict you can take when you're in a conversation like this. So avoidance is not the way. The way to do it is to slowly put yourself in a situation. For example, like a pool, right? Pool's cold, and some people like to just jump right in, but other people like to slow down and get their feet wet, put their toe in the water, and slowly begin to get adapted to the temperature change from getting into the pool. And then when that happens, then everything is fine, the nervous system notices nothing is wrong, and you're able to enjoy your time. That's the example that I would take. If you've ever experienced emotional shutdown, people pleasing, or over apologizing in your life, I would encourage you to please leave a comment in the section below. Let me know, how old was you when this stuff happened, and how has it affected you in today? If this video has helped you to understand a little bit about yourself and how to make sure that you're able to soothe your nervous system before you go into a high risk conversation, please hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. And we'll see you on the next one. I hope you have a good day.